try again.
Thank you.
What happens is if I make a funny joke about the city council, the speaker is able to log into the mic and turn it off. So it's a little challenging tonight. I'll try to behave myself. Tonight's event is incredibly important, PCON 2024, not just because it's an annual recurrence that people have grown to love and become accustomed to, but also because it's an opportunity to showcase what we as a community, and really when I say we, I'm taking credit for your work, have done. Represented in this room tonight, without exaggeration, is millions and millions and millions of dollars in commerce, predominantly created by people who are members of our community, yeshiva graduates, people who are proud Jews, who have dedicated themselves living in New York or around New York, and who do good every day while also trying to do well. And PCON brings you all together to meet each other, to talk about what you do, and to keep commerce alive in our community. And that's why our first speaker tonight is so important, because he's somebody who, in addition to being a lifelong New Yorker, born in the Bronx, right? Did I get that right? Born in the Bronx, resident of my neighborhood, Midwood in Brooklyn. He's somebody who does good and does well. And those things go together. They're very important, because Leon Goldenberg, and it's okay if you want to applaud if you've heard his name, Leon Goldenberg has dedicated his life to Askonis in a very real way. He's somebody who is involved since I was a little kid, and I'm allowed to say that because you're over there and I'm over here, and I run faster. Leon is somebody who knows me since I was a little kid, and I know of him until I became this big shot now. Leon has dedicated his life to every good cause that has evolved in our community. From Tomchei Shabbos to the Council of Jewish Organizations to Chasdei Lev, to every single organization that feeds people, that houses people, that works with people, that tries to get them up on their feet. He's involved in that. But at the same time, that's the doing good part, then he also does well. He runs an incredibly well-organized real estate portfolio representing, he'll tell you how many units of housing that are well-managed, well-maintained, where people are able to live in New York and do well. So without further ado, and he will tell you far more than I've said about him, I had to be nice, and I'm actually a little scared of him. Please welcome tonight's first speaker, Leon Goldenberg, the CEO of Goldmont Realty.
So you actually just saw a city councilman in action, working, holding the American flag, which I hate to say, there are many members of the city council that would never hold an American flag. And I think it's something that we can all be proud of living here in America. So I want to thank PCON 2024 for inviting me here tonight. I'm not so sure if they'll be happy with me when I'm done. I've been in the real estate business for 41 years. Yes, I started when I was 16 years old. I actually bought my first investment property in 1974 at the age of 7. So I guess nobody's really listening. This December will be 50 years since I bought that property. But as I see it, we are coming off what could possibly be the worst year of my career. I lived through the early 90s, when they said survive until 1995, the meltdown of '08, which was really short-lived due to the feds taking dramatic steps, and even COVID, which is not really a meltdown, but impacted real estate. Practically no sector of real estate was immune to what happened over the last 2 years. The only sector that was fairly immune was industrial and warehousing. And for our community, surprisingly, for our company, surprisingly, retail was the only bright spot. The dramatic rise in interest rates proved disastrous for everyone. It's not just that rates went up, it's about how fast they went up. The Fed was justified after the president passed the last $1.9 trillion stimulus package the American Rescue Plan, which in my opinion wasn't necessary, certainly not the amount, and although many members in our communities were thrilled with it because it came right before Pesach with checks of $1,400. And families, some of the families in our community got $20,000 and $30,000 before Yontif. Who could complain? But that massive spending from all those $1,400 checks drove inflation to 9% and drove the dramatic rise in rates. No one was prepared. No one could adjust in time. Many out-of-town multifamily owners.
Too far away.
It's just too noisy. It's not, they're just too noisy. Many out-of-town multifamily owners whose business plans call for upgrading units and thereby increasing rents over a 2 to 3 year period and then refinancing at a projected high interest rate of 4.25% were destroyed. They thought they were being very conservative, projecting 4.25%. Office buildings had a double whammy. People working from home and high interest rates on mortgages that were rolling wiped out trillions in equity.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to ask everybody to please lower your voices. Some of our friends here paid a lot of money to come to hear these insights and knowledge that Leo is sharing with us today. Please give him the respect he truly deserves.
And better be sure when the mayor comes, because he really takes off on that. However, I do believe that office will make more of a comeback than most people think, as solely working from home simply doesn't work. Working from home has many distractions. Honey, I have to go to the gym. Can you drop the kids off at school? You get the idea. Working in office has a lot more benefits than people realize, including building a team, camaraderie, and just being able to waylay someone more experienced above you and say, can you help me with this or that, or can you explain this to me? And this is why many companies are forcing their workers to return to the office. I believe the future will be a hybrid, where you work 1 day from home and 4 days in the office. But office will be necessary. Offices will have to offer many more amenities, like we are doing in Texas, where we have created a different vision for our office buildings by creating co-working, small private offices, and merging it with retail aspects of the building. For the developers in New York, 421A worked very well. And while it worked for the developers, it also worked for affordable housing. The advocate complained that $1.9 billion in tax giveaways are given to developers. But under 421A, some 10,000 affordable units were built every year by developers, which works out to a subsidy of under $200,000 a unit. When the city builds affordable housing, how much does it cost? Recently, there was an affordable housing developer in California who did not accept the state's money to build affordable housing, as it would cost them more than double if he used the state's money because of all their requirements, such as prevailing wages, than if he built it on his own. So New York State has gone somewhere along these lines with the new 485X program, and we'll see how that works. Now we come to the mainstay of my business, which in 1983 I bought my first rent-stabilized building. The business model has been decimated, first by Mayor de Blasio, who decided that rent increases of 5.75 over 8 years was justified and possibly giving landlords too much. Even though there is a city program to help tenants co-op buildings, otherwise known as HDFC co-op, where the city will give them money.
Friends, this is an exciting night. Everybody gets to see each other. It's only once a year. But I promise you this program is awesome. And it's not really much about giving Leon the respect, but you want to hear what he's talking about because he speaks to the challenges of this industry. So if you can all tone it down a little bit. And also it's good practice because the mayor will be here soon and we don't want to do that when he's here. So give me a few minutes. to let Leon wrap up, and this is an incredible speech. I read it, I didn't write it, but I want to hear it.
So there's a program called HDFC Co-op where the city will give them money to upgrade the buildings. That's to the tenants. One of the requirements is even if expenses do not rise in 1 year, a mandatory maintenance 2% increase is required. Can you imagine where it would be today if the RGB did that in those 8 years? That's 16%. Imagine what your rent rolls would be like with an additional 11% increase today. For the most part, your buildings would be manageable. There is no way to pay for any mortgage that have rolled in the last 2 years or will roll over the next 12 months. And I'm talking about mortgages at $100,000 a unit, which prior to 2019 HSTPA was considered less than 50% loan to value. But along comes the state legislature and passed the HSTPA, and then Governor Cuomo signed it. I am told by people who know that the legislative leaders were expecting the governor to call them in and make adjustments. So those laws, combined with the Rent Guidelines Board inability to increase rents to cover the increase in expenses, I put at the foot of Mayor de Blasio. When Mayor Adams came in and allowed rents to go up by 3% after an average of less than 0.75 increase of rent per year, every tenant advocate screamed, "You are destroying us, you're killing us." Can you imagine if he allowed rents to go up where they should, 6-7% a year? Last year, they gave us 2.75% increase, but my real estate taxes and my insurance ate up that full 2.75%. This year, so far, my insurance went up 1.75% of my rent roll. I testified at the RGB with tenants screaming in the back, "Open your books." I turned around and said, "No problem," but they weren't really interested. The members of the RGB actually feared for their lives when they announced the increase, even though they knew the increase doesn't cover the increase in costs. So values on rent-stabilized buildings are down by at least 60%. Very few people have any equity in their buildings, and very few people are investing. But there are some sales taking place. To be perfectly honest, I don't understand why anybody would buy rent-stabilized housing in New York. I believe the only ones who can have an impact are the banks. We watched Signature implode, and I believe in the next 12 months, 2 more banks will implode. The ones that are tied to rent-stabilized housing. I've spoken to banks. I was on a call this week with the chairman of NYCB and told him the only thing that might work is if the banks talk to the governor and the mayor and explain the realities of rent-stabilized housing to them. Having spoken to some banks, I understand their reticence that they don't want to be viewed as being on the landlord's side. But at the end of the day, the destruction of rent-stabilized housing is real. There is absolutely no investment in major capital improvements. The city keeps passing new mandates, making it more expensive to operate, and the state proposes and passes all kinds of programs to help landlords that they simply don't work. An example is the IAIs of 2019 with a cap of 15,000. I did a FOIL request and found out that approximately 1,000 units a year file for those AIIs. Sounds great, but there are 1 million rent-stabilized apartments. At least 40 to 50,000 units turn over every year. I would guess at least 50-60% need a minimum of $15 to $150,000 investment. Or in NYCH's case, $475,000 to fix an apartment. That's 25, 30,000 apartments that need work, which means 2-3% filed for the increase. Does that sound like a winner to you? Not to me. I can go through all the programs that the city brought forward and the state, they don't work. I'm going to skip some of those programs. So buy rent stabilized in New York? I'm not sure. I don't want to sound morbid. There are avenues. I believe there will be opportunities in the next few months as the banks fail and as many landlords go under. there will be opportunities to buy again. I'm just not sure that those opportunities will be worthwhile in New York City. We are working on 4 deals in New York City, but because of the dire situation those deals are currently in, we believe that the opportunity exists. But they are not for rent-stabilized housing. But it's a big country, and everyone's focus needs to be somewhere else. There's one other issue that I think that everybody here needs to talk about, because a lot of people took a lot of investors into a lot of deals and lost a lot of money for investors. I'm not here to blame anybody, because markets, COVID, all these things changed everything. But investors are afraid to invest. They're afraid to put any money into real estate. So one idea that I had was to go to investors that had invested with you and lost money with you and offer to do a deal with no VIG in order to show them that deals can make money. Outside of that, it's very hard to get investors to come back into the real estate business. And I can't say that I blame them. Thank you all. We're still waiting for the mayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's incredible event and all the PCONs that have come before this were due to the incredible, inspirational, clear thought of one of our community's great entrepreneurs, Yehuda Leibler. And he is the founder of PCON, the CEO of PCON, and our host tonight. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Yehuda Leibler.
Good evening, everyone. Before I begin, I wanted to thank each and everyone for coming here today. What makes PCON a huge success is you all. Here at PCON, we learn, grow, and connect. Your excitement and commitment to grow your business and portfolios is what makes PCON such a unique and viable event. We all had the privilege of meeting so many incredible people today, where we all learn, grow, and connect. A special thanks to our speakers from today's event. I want to express a huge thank you to New York City Mayor Eric Adams, which will be joining us later tonight with his remarkable effort and significant milestones that he has been achieving for the Jewish community and beyond. It's truly appreciated. He has our support and backing. We are all praying for his continuous success. I wanted to thank Councilman Yeger, Sal Werdiger, Goldenberg, and Ahmed from HPD will be here later tonight. As you enjoyed the gala dinner, I want to especially thank our title sponsor from tonight's event, and yes, the dinner as well. Please all give a round of applause for Martin Joseph. Martin has a phenomenal team. His company, Metropolitan Realty Exemptions, which Sam Rosenberg, Ellie Goodman, and all his credible staff, what makes Metropolitan so special. What people don't realize, most people, they think about a deal, they think about the ROI, but they don't realize they're leaving a lot of money on the table, but not utilizing the tax availability incentives where they'll be able to get where here Metropolitan comes in. I also want to thank our platinum sponsors, GSS Services, Jack Joffin Associate, Mark Workplace Realty, and let's not forget our gold sponsors, Nuclean, Yossi Friedman, DASA Facility Solution, Liveline, BSM Facility Solution, Sal Klein, Moshe Zupnik, Max Towers, Armex Supplies. This year, achievements on PCON goes to a new heights of milestones, a level beyond where we've ever been. We've been having here through the day close to 2,000 attendees. We had 35 sponsors, 23 speakers, making the largest and the most successful event. The feedback and engagement has been overwhelming and positivity, and the thanks comes to you all. I would like to express my deep gratitude and thank you to Yossi Zicherman for putting this together. Without him, we couldn't do it. His staff, Yossi Zicherman, has put together a credible staff which includes Malki Ackerman, F.D. Sanders, Chaiblimi Biederbaum, also would like to thank Yossi Wasserman for smoldering this event. Your guys' dedication and hard work has been seen here through the day, and the hard work and beyond success from PCON wouldn't be possible with all your help and effort. And we'd really like to thank you them. I would like to share how PCON began. No, not one day I wake up one morning and I said to myself, let me put a real estate event together. Shortly after my wedding, I've been working for the past decade for Velocity Management, a real estate management company, and I met like-minded individuals. It's what I do still full day. I was on a PCON, as I was in a WhatsApp group with people in real estate, investments, and opportunities, where we're consulting and helping each other with advice and ideas on a daily basis. People start talking about having in-person meeting, and I was one of the arrangers to arrange a small rooftop gathering. As I saw so much people benefit from meeting like-minded individuals, we did it again in 2018. As we start next year, I was hope to see people. The event was only getting bigger and better. PCON wasn't born from competitions, which makes Eden so incredible. Even with competition, we're helping out each other. Looking ahead, with exciting plans for PCON, we aim to expand our outreach and bring you even more diverse vulnerability and connections and commitment to positivity. A platform we will all learn, grow, and connect. I encourage you all to stay connected with us and each other. And don't forget to scan the barcode on the back of the booklet, where you can still, if you haven't, join our wonderful WhatsApp group together so we can arrange things. And now, as you enjoyed the fabulous dinner, I would like to thank you once again for being here and making the most successful PCON event ever. And we look forward to seeing you at PCON 2025 and beyond. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give an incredibly warm welcome to the 110th Mayor of New York City, the Honorable Eric Adams. And friends, as we're doing that, I'd like to welcome the Chairman of the Agudas Yisrael of America and the President and CEO of Outer Stuff, our friend Sal Werdiger, who's going to introduce the Mayor. But we're going to wait a little bit. And so while Sal is making his way up here, I'm going to introduce Sal a little bit. Sal is, as I have said so many times tonight, somebody who knows how to do good and do well. And he's somebody who has made public service, askanis, an incredibly important part of his life. And as he approaches the stage, he told me if I'm still at the mic when he approaches, I'm in big trouble. So please welcome Sal Werdiger.
Okay, shh. Kalman, thank you. If I could ask for Leon, maybe you talk to. By my speech, I'm asking everybody to please be quiet. It's really it's a pleasure to be here. It's my first time at PCON, and looking around the room, and I was walking around before, it's really, really inspiring to see so many attendees here representing such an important and essential New York City industry. I think it's important to get together, to learn from each other, hearing from experts in the field. When they asked me to introduce the mayor, that I understood. But I'm not a real estate guy. I'm a schmata guy. Does the mayor know what a schmata is? Schmata, I'm the clothing guy. I'm a schmata guy. And then I figured out, because New York has the most dapper mayor in the whole United States. So before I introduce our special guest, I'd like to talk just for a moment about the organization that I have the privilege to serve as chairman of the board, Agudas Yisrael of America. People ask me all the time, they say, Shlomi, what does the Agudah do? What do we do? Leon. And I think the simple short answer is that we are Klal Yisrael's address that's charged with advocating and confronting the critical communal issues facing the Jewish people here at home, across the country, and across the globe. Shh. As our thriving Jewish community continues to experience exponential growth, the Agudah continues to grow and expand our communal footprint along with it. Thanks to you, our friends, our supporters, the incredible growth now includes a full-time office in Washington, D.C., and 12 regional offices across the United States, with more on its way. Here in New York, we have taken an active and leading role in fighting anti-Semitism, in fighting anti-Orthodox bigotry. Be it on the streets of the city or in the pages of the New York Times, the Agudah has made the fight to protect our people and their sterling reputation our very highest priority. And it goes without saying that our yeshivas are the crown jewel of the Orthodox community. And the Aguda continues to lead the fight and has spared no expense in Washington and Albany and right here in New York City to make sure that our institutions receive the government funding and the equity of services that we are entitled to. Preserving the integrity of our chinuch curriculum and our way of life from those that seek to hurt and undermine us continues to dominate our daily agenda. And the biggest evidence of our success, of the success of our yeshiva system, is sitting right here in this room, where hundreds of successful yeshiva graduates have gathered. And I'm sure if I ask anybody here, they will confirm that a large part of their success is directly related to their own personal yeshiva experience. And the very same goes for each and every industry in our hardworking community members that they participate in. You, my dear friends sitting here, are our community's greatest ambassadors, so please join me in applauding all of you. It is now my privilege and honor to introduce New York City Mayor Eric Adams. As a community, we place great value on the relationships we forge with our friends in government. And our community has no bigger friend than Mayor Eric Adams. The mayor is no stranger to us. As early as a state senator, borough president, and now as mayor, he has publicly defended yeshiva education on many occasions. He knows and realizes that parents are entitled to their choice of where to educate their children, and he respects that choice and hasn't been shy about it. Mayor Adams has consistently called out acts of anti-Semitism well before he was mayor. In fact, in his very first week in office as Brooklyn Borough President, he called a press conference in Brooklyn Borough Hall where he denounced a horrific New York Post headline that denigrated a Hasidic murder victim. He also stood with us after the attack on the Pittsburgh synagogue and other acts of anti-Semitism. His voice has been clear, constant, and unwavering. And since the horrific October 7th Hamas attack, the mayor has used his powerful platform against anti-Israel and anti-Semitic hatred. Who could forget his dynamic speech shortly after the attack where he proclaimed, "We are not all right. We are not all right," became a motto for fighting anti-Semitism. We will not tolerate it. And he has continued with that message in all the months since then. Indeed, the voice of a New York City mayor is a powerful one, and Eric Adams is not afraid to use it, especially when it comes to fighting for and defending our community. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce the 110th mayor and probably the 111th mayor of New York City, our dear friend, a friend of mine, a friend of the community, Mayor Eric Adams. Okay, good. We'll go on the other side. I'll go on this side. Let them come in here. Everybody come here. Okay. Without the plaque. You know, it doesn't go without the plaque. Kalman. Oh. Richard. How are you? Okay.
You should never stand next to him.
Actually, no, I'm not. Learn my lesson.
Okay.
Thank you.
Be proud.
Thank you, man.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. and a room full of real estate executives. I used to be a real estate agent many years ago, and whenever I took someone to see a house or an apartment for rental or for purchase, there were two questions that they would ask me. How safe is the community? How good are the schools? Those are the foundational items that families want. How safe is the community? How good are the schools? That is the foundation of your institution. If your institution, your retail shops, your condominiums, your homes, your apartments, if it is located in the area where the schools are not good and it is not safe, the mere floor of your institution would collapse. So when we have those out there that are policymakers, that are doing things to make our community unsafe and don't give you the right to educate your children in the capacity that you want, they are not only crumbling the foundation of your families, they're crumbling the foundation of your institutions and your financial abilities to stand tall. So this is a real fight we're having. We're fighting for the heart and soul of not only the city, but I believe our country. And I'm going to say to you, as we move in a new electoral and political cycle in 2025, you could sit in the sterilized environment of this beautiful room and talk about how much you support me, but you're going to have an opportunity to show how much you support me, and it can't be just a plaque. It can't be just a plaque. Those that are challenging your way of life, those who support the extremism, those who marched in the street after October 7th, those organizations and entities are now saying we must do everything that's possible to ensure Eric Adams is never the mayor again in the city of New York, and you must not be a detached spectator in this full contact sport called life. You better get involved and you better get in this game, or you will be saying what you should have done and could have done. Now is the time to do it. But I'm not only a defender for the Jewish community. I stood tall with the Asian community when we had Asian hate. I stood tall with the Sikh community when they were attacked for wearing turbans. And I'm against Islamophobia. I'm against those who attack anyone based on their way of life or who they are. And I'm unwavering. I'm unapologetic. What I saw on October 7th, I was very clear in my position. Hamas needed to be destroyed and every hostage needed to be released. You don't apologize for what is right. And let me tell you something else as I conclude. Those of you from the Hasidic and religious community, you are the primary target because you have a clear identification of your faith and your belief, no different than others that strongly show their religious belief and philosophy. And that is why in this fight, you must be on the front line. When you look at communities like Williamsburg, Rockaway, Borough Park, Flushing, where you visibly show your religious belief and philosophy, you're the first to be targeted. Like other communities and groups that identify what they truly believe. And I'm calling on you to unite with other communities, unite with our Asian community, unite with our Sikh community, unite with the forward-thinking Muslim community that don't believe in violence and don't believe in desecrating their religious philosophy. We gotta unite because there's more of us than it is of them. They are the numerical minority, we're the overwhelming majority, and what we stand for is the right thing. And so I thank you for your award. I thank you for your contribution to the city, but let's fight to say our communities are safe and our schools are great. Those are the foundational things you are fighting for. Let's stand strong together. Thank you very much.
4 more years. 4 more years. 4 more years.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, we were promised a 5-course, lavish meal, gala, something, etc. I'm looking around the room and I see the tables are bare. So I don't want to be the guy who broke his word, but I also didn't make that promise. But one of our sponsors tonight is somebody who did, and he is an incredible human being, an incredibly successful entrepreneur. I don't have the ability to introduce the person he's introducing, so I'm going to say a few things about both of them, and then I'm going to let Martin Joseph do the rest of the hard work. Please give a round of applause to Martin Joseph, and as he comes up, let me tell you a little bit about him. Martin is the CEO and the Chief Executive, Metropolitan Realty Exemptions, reside in New York. You see their name and their logo on every table here. He is responsible for the remaining 4 courses of the lavish meal that we're supposed to be seeing. He's somebody who's devoted his life to, as I keep on talking about, doing good and doing well, and because they must go hand in hand. And tonight he's going to introduce somebody who is the first Deputy Commissioner, Amit Tigani, who is a veteran of government, knows the ins and outs of every single agency, where the bodies are buried at City Hall. He is an incredibly dedicated and devoted public servant. You have more to say about him, right?
Yes.
You better. Okay.
Thanks.
So please welcome Martin Joseph.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Kalman. Friends, distinguished politicians, and mainly developers and property owners, management companies, and everybody sitting tonight over here. I was having the opportunity standing on this podium the previous year at the PCON event, racing in my mind, what do I offer to people in the development community, and how can we successfully and mutually service everyday New Yorkers? The 421A has expired. Transactions have declined almost to lone digit numbers. There was nothing that we can offer more than saying that we're hoping for the best. Developers, I want to share with you today, as we're sitting over here at the event, HPD has released the 467M, which offers an incentive program to properties that are being converted from commercial to residential. We had the opportunity to have the mayor over here tonight. The mayor is focusing on the city of yes. It's a mayor of yes and a city of yes, and he has an administration which is concentrating on yes, concentrating on developers, assisting developers to make the city safer. The mayor was concentrating on making the city safer. Housing and housing and housing is the way how to make the city safer. We have an opportunity tonight to meet the Deputy Commissioner, Mr. Ahmed, who has devoted and concentrated his energy and his life assisting everyday New Yorkers. I have privileged to be working with the city for many, many years. I have never met a gentleman which is concentrated and understands the needs of developers, understands how to facilitate and make a flawless, every developer should have his chance in succeeding. I would want to call upon Mr. Ahmed
to come up over here on the podium and share a little bit on the other side of the coin how HPD is concentrating in assisting you, developers, making it happen. We all know that when a developer finishes his project, his main goal is to refinance. We have experienced thousands and thousands of property owners which have experienced difficulties in refinancing. When we get to Hamed, he has an open ear and he understands the developer and he wants to make everybody successful. Let's all give a round of applause to Ahmed and let's listen and hear from him what he has to share with us today. Before we go ahead, I want to just give you an example. We had the Deputy Commissioner at HPD has shared that 3,000 shelter tenants were placed in 2023 in new constructed housing. I have shared with Ahmed and said to him, our company, Reside New York, has succeeded more than 1/3 of these shelter tenants to place them in new housing. I cannot share with you enough the experience of having somebody living in sheltered housing and experiencing a new constructed roof on their head. Our goal over here is not only for developers, we have in mind everyday New Yorkers. Let's together listen what Ahmed has to share and what Ahmed has to offer. We promise you, Ahmed, that if you will continue working with us, we will make you proud. We will make you the city of yes. Go ahead, Ahmed. I want to give you the awarding Chief Diversity Officer, First Deputy Commissioner Ahmed Tigani, with gratitude, recognition from the PCON team. You did your library CFO. I just want to mention Ahmed is in the hospital with his father-in-law. He's experiencing some difficulties and we want to have him in his prayers, but he took from his precious time and came over here to share with us his experience. Thank you, Ahmed.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. How are you? So first of all, I learned a long time ago to stand between a person and their dinner is probably the most dangerous place to be. So what I'll do is make sure that I communicate clearly, I try to be substantive, and I try to be quick with my comments. I appreciate a number of things about what was said today. First and foremost, I want to give another acknowledgement. The mayor is looking to improve and work and build a stronger city on many platforms. But I still don't think we get enough recognition for the fact that this administration has been the most pro-housing administration, most invested to see that people have a roof over their head, that the roof over their head is preserved, and that we're working with our communities in collaboration, not in a focus and voice that is combative, but in collaboration to make sure that our housing is stood up safely and that our housing is maintained accurately. You know, a couple of things, if you've been paying attention in the news the last couple of days. On Monday, we were able to announce the work that we were able to achieve in fiscal year 24. And I want to correct Mr. Joseph. Last year, you helped us get to 3,000. This year, we were able to place over 4,000 people into safe, clean, and quality homeless set-aside units, with a lot of that work done by the staff and the incredible talent at Reside. So thank you. The other thing I want to mention is that when you look at the big number, we've been able to create over 25,000 finance units in just fiscal year 24. The largest number of new construction, the highest number of supportive housing, the highest number of homeless set-aside units. We built the second highest number of senior units, only second to our own number from last year. Things like 421A became incredibly clear and apparent as critical to helping us develop in producing the new construction numbers that we were able to create. But beyond that, something that many of you are involved in, helping us put people into housing, we saw record-breaking numbers last year. Last fiscal year, we were able to place 9,550 people into units in Housing Connect, thanks to many of the people in this room. How does that happen? That happens by, one, thinking about the process that we're in and talking to the people who are involved in that process, and then working through those questions and making improvements as we need to make them. So in the beginning of this administration, we started a dialogue with the people who work most often with our clients, with the residents using Housing Connect, building our housing and preserving our buildings. We held a series of roundtables. We took in memos and recommendations about how the system could be made better. And from that, we created a housing plan and put together a number of fantastic ideas I think has really improved and allowed us to get to these numbers. Some of you might be aware of some of the changes we made in the paperwork process to streamline the effort. That includes removing the file review to the back end, so we have a back end audit and not keeping that part in the way between a person and their unit. It's changing the credit check so that people with rental assistance and the marketing agents responsible for collecting the information do not need to collect paperwork that's already verified. Why add that time? And on re-rentals, as we work to improve the system, we've now moved to a place where after a reasonable number of tries, we work with the marketing agents and the owners to look at the open market to recruit people so we make sure we're not keeping those units offline. Those are some of the quick changes. Some of the behind-the-scenes things that you may not see is we've learned from our marketing agents that we need to do a better job batching and putting the information easily collectible and markable in Housing Connect. These are tech issues that normally would never surface if we didn't bring people who knew what they were doing and cared about housing as much as we did to the table. Thank you very much. Finally, I'm just going to leave you with these two thoughts. We are at a place where this city has a vacancy rate of 1.4%. That means that we had nearly 30,000 units available in 2023 for a city of 8.6 million people that call this place home. 21 million people in the tri-state area that make up the geographic economy. That is an unacceptable ratio. That creates a supply that creates tension. It makes us unsafe. It does not allow for us to get to where we need to be. That's why in the last budget, the mayor fought for and increased our next two fiscal year budgets by $2 billion. I want you to thank you. That is a huge sum. That means $1.3 billion more for HPD to preserve and create new housing. That means $700 million more to invest in our public housing. To make that even more impactful, the mayor has pursued the City of Yes zoning text amendments. With the partners in the city council and the community that supported us, we've been able to get through a carbon neutrality, which will make our buildings healthier, which will make our buildings more energy efficient and our streets easier to walk in because it will address climate change issues. We passed economic opportunity. So now we'll have revitalized commercial corridors. And in the mixed-use buildings that you own, operate, and manage, you can actually innovate and think of new ideas so that those vacant spaces are not left empty. And maybe most importantly at this point, we have before us housing opportunity. At the City Planning Commission right now is a zoning text amendment that had the most community board support than previous amendments of its size. It has 4 BPs, borough presidents, pushing to see that we have the zoning tools we need to build a little bit more housing in every part of the city. And now the most consequential housing, text, and zoning changes that will give people sensible tools to be able to take advantage of making their property part of the solution to address our housing crisis approaches the City Council. As the mayor said, we are doing our work. We are streamlining the processes to using the tools that put people in home. We are financing the greatest number of housing units in new construction and for populations who are vulnerable and need that housing. We are looking to see what we can do from a budget perspective so we can make sure we have what we need either from here or in our advocacy in DC, so we have the federal income tax credits to be able to produce that housing. But without that city zoning amendment, we will be incomplete. We will not have what we need to have. So we need to work together to make sure that the council does their part, that our allies are working together, and we see that done. So I'll just say, finally, I want to thank you. Many people in this room have been partners. You were partners when we needed to find homes for 7,800 individuals with temporary emergency housing vouchers. You were partners when we were looking for ways to recover from COVID and build up our numbers by bringing great deals and projects to HPD and HCC. And we hope we continue this partnership and great ideas and even better innovations to come. Have a great rest of your night.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, the title sponsor tonight and somebody whose company names are all over your tables is Martin Joseph, Metropolitan Realty, and one of the incredible entrepreneurs that we're seeing tonight. His introduction of Ahmed Tagani was probably better than I could have done for Ahmed, and I know Ahmed much longer. So I want to ask Martin Joseph to come back up here. We promise you're going to have to come back up these stairs. And also, you did the Leibler. And Martin's entire team, Abe and who else? Ellie, right? Ellie and Shulam, to come up here and join with Yedidia and the PCON team. And Commissioner, we're going to need you for one more point of service.
Thank you.
But you're going to have to say something now about why he's getting the award. Otherwise, people are going to be manufacturing everything. And one more second. And one more person I want to ask to join us is somebody who I work with every single day at City Hall. He's one of the quiet, unknown characters, but he's an incredibly decent human being and a good friend of mine. Don't let his curmudgeonly attitude scare you. He's my friend Menashe Shapiro, Deputy Chief of Staff. Menashe, please come up here. So this is true. I'm going to say this. I don't have to show off. The mayor knows me, and he knows I do my thing in a little different way. But this is really true. Menashe is somebody who I can call on 24/6 to help us in the community when I need something. And it's no problem, too big, too small. It's something he really, truly enjoys doing. Even when he fetches, he's doing it for fun, just to make me feel guilty. But he's an incredibly dedicated public servant. I love him like a brother. I'm so happy he's here tonight, and thank you, Menashe. You're not getting an award. You just get to be in the picture with us. It's nothing really at all. But I still love you, and he never gets any credit. It's always somebody else getting the credit in the room. But he did help us bring the mayor tonight. But thank you very much, Menashe, for everything you do. And now, You're going to have to say a little bit why we're giving the award. You have to say something, God.
We will handing over the award title, sponsor award, present Martin Joseph Metropolitan Realty. With gratitude and regards from the PCON team, you did the Allied CFO, Diageo, July 31, 2024.
One second.
Smart man.
Good move.
Tell somebody to block too many times.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Menashe, again. Thank you.
As you know, whoever saw this standing outside came to our booth, scanned his ticket. We raffled this off earlier today. This is made by a company called Metalcraft. At Metalcraft, we do custom metal fabrication for any kinds of parts or brackets, whatever you might need for custom metal. We can make something like this for you. You can put it up in your office, put it up in your home. We have the iconic Trump fist saying fight, and we raffled it off. The winner of this raffle is Judah Braun. Judah Braun, please come to collect your prize. You can find us metalcraftnj.com.
Friends, ladies and gentlemen, we're still trying to keep you entertained while the lavish 5-course meal is working towards the end of its 5th course. But we have one more speaker as part of the entertainment of tonight, and that is Ezra Friedlander. Ezra, pause for that massive applause that you're going to get. 1 second, hold it. Okay, here we go. Some friends of Ezra, I appreciate it. Ezra's an old friend of mine, and I was looking around the room who can actually entertain us for a little while, and I couldn't find anybody, so I chose Ezra. Ezra, come. Ezra Friedlander. Ezra is the CEO of the Friedlander Group. The Friedlander Group is one of the most well-known public relations firm in New York and in Washington. I feel like he's taking a video of us, so this is going to go somewhere. Tell him not to do that. Then I'm never going to be able to show my face anywhere again. I'm kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ezra Friedlander.
Kalman.
Oh, you want us to get out of the way? Oh, one second.
Kalman, stay around. You me. Kalman. Kalman was very surprised that I have friends. So if you consider yourself a friend of mine, let's hear an applause. Kalman, you're surprised. Everyone in this room is in the real estate business, and everyone has frustrations with business and government. The number one solution is everyone should organize themselves and vote smartly, and develop relationships with your local elected officials. Don't rely on anyone else. You can do it yourself. This is my advice to you. Kalman, do you concur? Thank you very much. Good night.